Hi everyone, it's Jolie here. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to create Nano Brows hair strokes combined with ombre shading on silicone practice skin. This method is something I developed myself, and I think it's perfect for beginners, especially if you're not ready to work on real skin yet. Be sure to watch the full video to follow along with each step. We'll begin with the machine movement technique. I use my arm to pull the machine, not my fingers. Make sure to keep your pressure very light, especially when tapering the ends of the strokes, so the tips come out sharp and clean. Each stroke should have a gentle press and lift motion, with a bit of color reinforcement at the middle. After completing one stroke, move on to the next with the same rhythm and technique. The proper flow for each hair stroke is light at the beginning, stronger through the middle 1/3, then fading out softly at the tip. Never rest your hand on the brow frame, especially on real skin. Doing so can distort your outline or smudge the strokes you've already drawn. Keep your hands steady and find a stable posture to work cleanly without pressure on the guidelines. At stroke intersections, like V-points, you'll want to apply a little extra pressure to build depth and definition. For clients who want soft, natural brows, avoid shading the entire brow. It could end up too harsh, especially in the back arch and spine areas. If your client has little or no brow hair, adding strokes is the best method to build volume naturally. During the healing phase, colors may appear a bit darker. Don't worry, once healed, the pigment will fade down and look much more natural. So if you're working on brows and see stronger color at first, stay calm, it's normal. If you're practicing at home and still unsure whether your technique is correct, my online course is made for you. Inside, you'll find step-by-step breakdowns of every method: stroke design, shading, shape correction, troubleshooting, and every lesson is recorded in high resolution with clear angles. You can study anytime, anywhere, and best of all, I personally support and guide you through every stage, so you never feel lost.
ngay chỗ. Ngay chỗ. Ngay chỗ.
In cases where you've created around 80% of the brow with strokes, you'll only need to shade the remaining 20%, usually in the belly, middle, of the brow, to complete the structure. When shading, follow the outline closely and avoid overlapping the strokes. You can shade in one or two directions, but always keep the machine hugging the border cleanly. If you go too far outside the frame, the shading may look uneven or blotchy. Once you reach the area with strokes, pause and analyze the direction of each hair stroke. If a stroke is angled slightly, you should shade following that direction to allow for natural pigment blending. Never shade over the entire stroke, this will hide all your detailed work. Instead, you can shade between the gaps of the strokes or lightly over part of them, but always with thin, soft layers. This is especially important at the front of the brow. Only a soft veil of color should be applied there to preserve the airy look. Once finished, you'll see that the 80-20 technique delivers balanced, dimensional brows, with clean strokes and gentle depth. It gives the brow structure without looking too bold or overly filled in. If your client already has natural brow hair, light shading may be enough. But if they want to see the definition of hair strokes with a bit of polish, then combining strokes and soft shading will be ideal. Permanent makeup is a craft that requires patience, precision, and practice. Even if you know the theory, your hand skill will only improve through consistent repetition. If you're ready to take your skills to the next level, I invite you to join one of my training programs, whether in person or online. I'll guide you step by step until you feel confident working on real clients. Best of luck with your practice, and I hope you'll soon create beautiful brows for everyone who trusts your hands.